early winter of December 8, 2008. It was a peaceful day beginning. People were just going about their day, getting to work, heading home, just doing a normal activity on the daily weekend, not knowing what's to come in the next moment. And that next moment was a burst of heavy gunfire ripping through passing cars and buses, and the terrifying sound of panicking merging all around the area. People could hear bullets from assault rifles and machine guns ripping through windows on buildings and hitting people as they run for their lives. In this whole tragedy there were just only 9 people wounded. As for the gunman, there were 4 deaths. The chief of the NYPD addressed this to local officials that the attack was motivated to be a drug deal gone wrong. And have the dealers been set up and walked themselves into an ambush by a rival gang? The worst case about this massacre: there were no official evidence of the time this happened. Not even a video footage of what actually went down to spark such demonstration like this. But little to know. It's been over 16 years since a dangerous criminal known as Luis Lopez has been on the run. A Dominican-American gang member who has a long-time history of being associated with a criminal enterprise known as NHDD/North Holland Dominican drug dealers. Being pressured by his closest friends who are also linked to this gang to participate in a possible drug or money deal with a local contact who goes by the name Poppy. Just thinking that this deal was going to be legit, not knowing that unexpected trouble was about to merge. As Luis boys found out the hard way about businessing up low-key snitches as they fall in a trap by NYPD multi-gang unit. The whole time they were being watched and wiretapped by the police. Poppy fled the scene. And a massive shootout will break out, instantly killing multiple officers and SWAT forces. Luis and his crew begin making a run for it after Luis takes a loaded RPG rocket and blow down a SWAT helicopter. NHDD has been on the NYPD's watch list of being the most dangerous and ruthless criminal organizations in Harlem's Hispanic communities. From high crimes such as kidnappings to tortures, sex trafficking, and money dealing, extortion, bribery, fraud, tampering with evidence, and murder. NHDD spark off drug wars with rival gangs who try to cut off their network of products. The activities this gang does is shipping valuable goods, such as luxury boats, high-performance sports vehicles, jewelry, even military hardware including military-grade weapons, explosives, and a purchased armored tank that was the first ultimate defense given to the LAPD drug task force, including the SWAT team used for gang raids. Major events such as violent clashes with riots such as the deadly rioting that puts LA newspaper on the face of every screencast worldwide. As America Eyes watched a brutal beating of an unarmed African-American male by 5 LAPD officers on live footage. At some point Luis Lopez had to hijack one of these tanks for another business partner who's a heavily armed dangerous icon and multi-billionaire of New York City. It was a path of destruction as Luis driven the tank through the Brooklyn Bridge, entering downtown Manhattan, instantly crushing and bombing through multiple police and SWAT forces on the streets, pretty much killing everyone on sight. Before he finally recovered the tank in a hiding zone and fled. Not before Luis have to do another job of terror. Luis had to hijack a military helicopter called a Buzzard, a special-made machine for war battling and special operations by the United States Army. And a very special package to a mob of foreign war criminals on a party yacht, displaying the helicopter to his entourage. Before you know it, Luis stormed into the yacht and killed all the gunmen and took off with the helicopter. Gunmen from boats tried to blow down Luis with RPGs, but he still managed to get away and deploy the helicopter to the local contact. Days after all this ring of terror flourished, Luis does another job for his boys to go to the docks in South Bronx.
while driving to the docks. Luis and his friends begin talking to each other about a business agreement, evidently bragging about something that is about to happen at the meeting site. When they got there, Luis saw a major load of product, as the site was filled with associates who run their shipping, not knowing that it was far more than that. Luis begins discussing to his pal Enrique about their shipping. After that, Luis is being told by Enrique to check out for any sign of trouble as he stands by a boat carrying loads of cocaine. Before you know it, just in a blink of an eye, all hell breaks loose, as an intense gang war breaks out at the docks. From close distance, Luis can hear sounds of vehicles pulling up and multiple gunmen sprinting out and opening fire on loaders. Being said, Luis confronts his boy Armando about involving himself in major drug deals. Owens, Luis, and his buddies took care of the rival gang. They split right before the cops came. Once law enforcement arrived at the scene, it was like going to a bloody river, but you're not standing in water. Police arrived at the docks only to see a river of blood and a load of bodies scattered all around. And at that moment, the police realized that they weren't just dealing with a group of potty-mouthed children anymore. They're definitely dealing with a whole syndicate ran by international icons of controlling the drug trade on the streets of New York City to the rough trenches of South Bronx and Harlem. The gang structure is so mobilized to the point where it's almost set up like a street-based drug cartel. Rolling with these guys will be your last mistake, because these guys are all about business, not talking smack or throwing up signs claiming sex. NHDD has branched out in many areas of the city, including the urban parts of New York to the suburbs in upstate New York. They operate east of where the original set of this organization was presented, the Northwood Dominican drug dealers of Harlem's Inwood and Washington Heights areas. These areas are known to be an active war zone with gangs. Gangs especially like the infamous Trinitarios gang and Dominicans Don't Play gang. These guys are more brutal than the infamous MS-13 gang and the terroristic Tren de Aragua gang of Venezuela. Firepower is too simple for them. So instead, they like to cut people into two. They like to torture people into crumbs and you cease to exist. For every faction of the Dominican drug dealers, nothing seems to scare them out of their business. The DA even detected some subsets of the NHDD gang in local parts of the Golden Ball BGMC region. But sadly, they would eventually be pressed and attacked by the long-timing ETA Tribes cartel for turf disputes and drug wars. NHDD well as NWDD gang has sparked controversy all over the world, including back home in the state of New York. Some of the original Northwood Dominican drug dealers have declared war on rivals in the Essex County war zone areas of Newark, New Jersey. Areas like those are known for turf wars and drug trafficking involving gangs. Notable gangs such as the Crips, Bloods, local Piru sets, Latin Kings, Gangster Disciples, Spanish Lords, and many more. There were once a long-lasting decade war between local biker gangs known as the Lost Motorcycle Club and their rival the Angels of Death. Somehow the war still plays out in the neighboring cities. This is Gangsta Warfare News tuning in with a topic. This video is dedicated to GWB. For more information hit the like, share and subscribe for more.